My phone buzzed while I was staring blankly at the cold coffee in front of me. Sarah flashed on the screen. I answered, and deafening music and her helpless voice came from the other end. Ashley, come to Night Colors to pick up your man. He's drunk out of his mind again. Again? I clenched my phone, a cold laugh in my heart. This is the third time this month. For whom? It goes without saying. My phone buzzed while I was staring blankly at the cold coffee in front of me. Sarah flashed on the screen. I answered, and deafening music and her helpless voice came from the other end. Ashley, come to Night Colors to pick up your man. He's drunk out of his mind again. Again? I clenched my phone, a cold laugh in my heart. This is the third time this month. It's self-evident who it's for. After hanging up the phone, I grabbed my coat, moving as efficiently as if I had rehearsed it countless times. After all, cleaning up Jason's messes, especially when his good sister Chloe is unhappy, has almost become my main job. The bar was dimly lit, and the smell of smoke and alcohol mixed with cheap perfume, making people dizzy. Sarah pointed to the booth in the corner. Jason was slumped there, his eyes glazed over, still clutching an empty bottle. I walked over and tried to help him up. He squinted, then suddenly grinned, reached out and hugged me, nuzzling his head in the hollow of my neck. Chloe, don't be angry. It's my fault. The familiar address was like a needle, precisely piercing the softest part of my heart. My whole body stiffened. He's doing it again. Every time he gets drunk, he mistakes me for his beloved stepsister, Lou Sharon. Oh no, now she's called Chloe, taking his surname, Sterling, and becoming the legitimate second daughter of the Sterling family. Chloe, I promise you, I will spend all the holidays with you from now on, okay? He promised vaguely, his tone so gentle it could drip water. He had never said these words to me when he was sober. My heart sank, like a lead weight. So, in his heart, the weight of me, his real girlfriend, can never compare to that of his sister. A wave of indescribable grievance and anger surged into my heart. I remembered a long time ago, not long after we had just gotten together, I inadvertently asked him about his relationship with Chloe. He said, Chloe is the closest person to me in this world. Ashley, you can't compare. At that time, I thought it was familial love. Now it seems I was too naive. I forced myself to suppress my nausea, propped him up, and Sarah lent a hand. We stuffed him into the car and dragged him all the way home. He was terribly heavy and reeked of alcohol. I threw him on the sofa and turned to get some water, but he grabbed my wrist, pulled me hard, and I fell into his arms unexpectedly. Warm breath sprayed on my ear, with a strong smell of alcohol. He held me tight, like holding some lost and found treasure. He was still shouting, Chloe, don't go. His hands began to wander over my body in a disrespectful manner, his movements carrying a nauseating familiarity and ambiguity. My stomach churned, and I pushed him away violently. He fell back onto the sofa, frowning in displeasure, his eyes still dazed. Looking at him like this, I suddenly felt extremely tired and disgusted. I walked up to him, squatted down, and looked directly into his eyes, which looked somewhat innocent due to drunkenness. Jason, I tried to make my voice sound calm, imitating Chloe's delicate tone. If you could only choose between Ashley and me, who would you choose? He seemed stunned for a moment, trying hard to focus on me. Then, he laughed, with a drunken naivety, and said without hesitation, of course it's you, silly. To appease the Chloe he thought he knew, he could abandon Ashley without hesitation. Ha! I looked at him, my heart growing colder inch by inch. The last trace of reluctance and unwillingness also completely vanished in this sentence. For me, you'll break up with Ashley, right? I pressed, my voice with a slight, almost imperceptible tremor. Break up? Of course, I'll break up. He waved his hand as if it were a trivial matter. How could that woman be more important than my Chloe? I'll break up with her tomorrow. Bang! The crisp sound of a slap echoed in the silent living room. What did he say then? I used all my strength. Jason was stunned by the blow. He covered his face, his eyes finally clearing a little, and looked at me with bewilderment and incomprehension. You, Ashley, did you hit me? Yes, it's me. I stood up, looking down at him, my voice as cold as ice. Jason Sterling, we're breaking up. After saying this, I turned around and left, not wanting to stay for even a second longer. Behind me came his drunken roar. Ashley, what the hell are you doing? The next morning, Jason woke up with a hangover and didn't remember much about what happened last night, only that I slapped him and said we were breaking up. He sat at the dining table with a swollen, handsome face, his tone as impatient and superior as ever. Ashley, haven't you made enough of a scene? Is it worth it over a drunken word? Aren't you just jealous of Chloe? How many times have I told you? She's my sister. I was packing my things when I heard him and stopped, turning to look at him. He was wearing a silk robe, his hair was messy, and his hangover made him look pale, but this did not affect his arrogance in the slightest. In his eyes, all my dissatisfaction and anger were just unreasonable jealousy. He simply didn't understand, or rather, he simply didn't care what the problem was. Jason, this isn't drunken talk, and it's not jealousy, I said calmly, it's just that in your heart, there has never been a place for me. You're talking nonsense. He stood up suddenly, the chair legs scraping harshly on the floor. Have I not been good to you? What have you wanted that I haven't bought for you? Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. I opened the closet, ready to take out my clothes. Then I froze. In the huge wardrobe, my belongings only occupy less than a third of a corner. The rest is full of Chloe's clothes, bags, and accessories, various limited editions, the latest models, a dazzling array. This is nominally my home, but in reality, it's more like Chloe's other cloakroom. A nameless fire rushed straight to the top of my head. I took a deep breath, and then, I raised my hand and swept all the things that belonged to Chloe onto the ground, one by one, without any mercy. Silk dresses, cashmere coats, designer bags, scattered all over the floor, like expensive garbage. Ashley, what are you doing? Jason rushed over to stop me, with genuine heartache and anger in his eyes. He doesn't feel sorry for me, but for the owner of these things. I dodged him sideways, looked at the mess on the floor, and a twisted pleasure actually arose in my heart. It's nothing, just cleaning up garbage, I said coldly. Jason was so angry that his face turned livid, pointing at me, his fingers trembling. You are simply unreasonable. Enough. He took out his phone and dialed a number directly. It's really enough. Chloe, come here for a moment. Yeah, Ashley's gone crazy. It's okay, I'm here. He deliberately turned on the speakerphone, the volume just right for me to hear. After hanging up, he looked at me provocatively, a cruel smile on his lips. Ashley, stop it. Come back to me when you've had enough. Let me tell you, in the Sterling family, only Chloe matters the most. A woman like you, I can replace any time. His words were like poison-tipped knives, piercing deeply into my heart, making me completely give up. I picked up my suitcase and walked towards the door without looking back. Just as I grasped the doorknob, the door opened. Chloe stood in the doorway, wearing a beautiful white dress, with just the right amount of worry and innocence on her face. Seeing the scene in the living room, she exclaimed and then threw herself into Jason's arms. Brother, what's wrong? Sister Ashley, Jason hugged her, comforting her softly, his eyes filled with disgust and warning as he looked at me. How ironic. It's nothing, she's just throwing a tantrum. She'll be fine once she's done. Chloe, be good, don't be afraid, your brother is here. At that moment, watching their brotherly and sisterly affection, I felt nothing but irony and disgust. I opened the door and walked out, without looking back, returning to my own little apartment, a place I hadn't been to in a long time. My emotions finally completely collapsed. I curled up on the cold floor, tears streaming down my face. 3 years. I was with him for 3 years. From when he was an unregarded second son of the Sterling family to now sitting in the president's seat. I thought we were partners fighting side by side, lovers who cherish each other. In the end, I was just a tool he used to fill the void and incidentally annoy his older brother. And the most important place in his heart will always be reserved for that pitiful sister who could get sick at any time. After crying enough, my heart feels empty. I need alcohol. I rushed downstairs and went into the convenience store on the corner. Give me the strongest liquor you have, I said to the clerk, my voice hoarse. The clerk was a young man who glanced at me, didn't ask any questions, and gave me a few bottles of vodka. I twisted open a bottle and stood in front of the convenience store, gulping it down straight from the bottle. The spicy liquid burned my throat, all the way down to my stomach, but it also numbed my nerves. I don't know how long I drank, but my consciousness began to blur. I think I saw the clerk making a phone call, and I vaguely heard words like Sterling, girlfriend, and drunk. Is he contacting Jason? Will he come? I leaned against the glass door of the convenience store and laughed mockingly at myself. It's Jason. It rang persistently. I impatiently swiped to answer, and before I could speak, I heard his cold and impatient voice. Ashley, What trick are you trying to pull this time? Trying to get back together with me this way? I'm telling you, it's impossible. Chloe is not feeling well. I don't have time to play these boring tricks with you. Don't bother me again. I held my phone, stunned in place. Chloe is not feeling well? Same trick again. Such a familiar excuse. The last shred of hope in my heart has also completely shattered into powder. I threw my phone into my bag and took another swig of alcohol, tilting my head back. Fuck you, Jason Sterling. Fuck love. I stood up unsteadily, and in my blurred vision, I saw a tall figure standing at the door, standing against the light. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I subconsciously took him for Jason, who had returned. All the grievances, anger, and unwillingness instantly found an outlet. I rushed over and punched and kicked the figure. Jason Sterling, you bastard, scumbag, why are you doing this to me? Why? I couldn't be bothered to argue with him anymore. I'm telling you, I don't want you anymore. I never want you again. I cried and cursed like a madman. The figure didn't move or speak, letting me vent. Tired of hitting, tired of yelling, I squatted on the ground, hugging my knees and sobbing. As I cried, the alcohol surged, and my consciousness became even more chaotic. I raised my blurry, tearful eyes and looked at the vague outline in front of me, tall and silent, like a docile, big dog. I reached out as if possessed and touched his trouser leg. Good doggy, don't cry. The figure seemed to stiffen. Then, I heard a low and slightly helpless male voice say, The clerk was stunned as he watched from the side. Sir, this young lady, I'm her boyfriend. That low voice said calmly, with an unquestionable tone, she's drunk, I'll take her home. As he spoke, he bent down and effortlessly scooped me up into his arms. I rubbed against him in his arms, half asleep, found a comfortable position, and mumbled, Doggy, go home. Then, I completely lost consciousness. When I woke up again, it was from the glare of the dazzling sunlight. My head was splitting. I groaned, opened my eyes, and found myself lying on a strange, large bed. The room was spacious and bright, decorated in a minimalist and understated style, exuding a sense of calm luxury. The air was filled with a faint scent of cedar. This is not my apartment, nor is it Jason's house. I sat up abruptly, the hangover headache blacking out my vision. Just then, the bathroom door opened. A man walked out. He was tall, wearing a well-ironed white shirt and trousers, his hair slightly damp, obviously having just washed up. His features were deep and handsome, and his temperament was cold, stern, and steady. I recognized him. He is Jason's older brother, Ethan Sterling, that legendary true heir of the Sterling family, ruthless and unfathomable. Why is he here? Last night fragmented pieces flooded my mind. Convenience store, vodka, scolding a scumbag, touching a puppy. My face instantly flushed red. Oh my God, what have I done? I actually treated Ethan Sterling like a dog, and I touched him? Just when I was so embarrassed that I wanted to crawl into a hole in the ground, my phone rang at an inopportune moment. It was Jason. I subconsciously wanted to hang up, but Ethan had already walked over, picked up my phone from the bedside table, glanced at the caller ID, and handed it to me. His eyes were calm and without a ripple, and I couldn't read any emotion in them. That's fine. I braced myself and answered the phone. Ashley, where the hell have you been? Jason roared, almost bursting my eardrums. Did you go see my brother last night? What are you trying to do? Before I could speak, Ethan suddenly reached out, took my phone, and put it on speakerphone. Then, in a tone so calm it was almost indifferent, he said to the other end of the phone, Jason, Ashley is here with me. A few seconds later, Jason's voice was even more furious / Ethan, what do you mean? Ashley, you bitch. Have you been hooking up with my brother for a long time? Ethan frowned slightly, seemingly displeased by Jason's foul language. She was drunk last night. I brought her back. Ethan's voice was still calm, but with an unquestionable power. Also, watch your language. Drunk? So being drunk gives you the right to run to your bed? Jason's voice was full of jealousy and madness. Ethan Sterling, don't think I don't know what you're trying to do. You just want to take everything away from me. Ethan ignored Jason's roar and hung up the phone directly. The room returned to silence. I sat awkwardly on the bed, not knowing what to say. You had too much to drink last night. At the entrance of the convenience store, Ethan looked at me and stated the facts in a calm tone. You mistook me for Jason, and then you treated me like a dog. My face turned even redder. Sorry, I apologized softly. wishing I could find a crack in the ground to disappear into. It's okay. Ethan walked to the entrance of the cloakroom. There are new women's clothes inside, and toiletries are in the bathroom. Freshen up, and I'll take you back. His attitude was so natural, as if we were just ordinary friends. This actually made me relax a little. I quickly washed up and changed into a simple and elegant dress that fit me well. Walking out of the bedroom, Ethan was standing in front of the French windows in the living room on the phone, seemingly dealing with official business. The sunlight fell on his tall and straight back, outlining a calm and reliable aura, completely different from Jason's impetuousness and flamboyance. I was hesitating whether to disturb him when a sharp car horn suddenly came from downstairs, followed by Jason's furious scolding. "Ashley, get out here. What kind of skill is it to hide behind my big brother? You shameless woman." Chloe's weak voice of persuasion was mixed in. "Brother, don't be like this. Ashley Gia might have her own difficulties." I walked to the window and saw downstairs. Jason was pointing at the apartment building and cursing. Chloe nestled beside him, tearful and sobbing, looking like she had suffered a great grievance. What a good show. Ethan hung up the phone, walked to my side, and followed my gaze downward. His eyes turned cold. "I'll go down and handle it," he said. "No need." I stopped him. "This is my business. I've decided to break up with Jason completely, so there's no need to involve him anymore." But before I could finish speaking, Ethan had already put his arm around my shoulder and was leading me towards the door. His palm was warm and strong, conveying a reassuring power through the thin fabric. "No, it's my business now too," he said softly, his tone unquestionable. "Let's go downstairs together." The elevator door opened, and Jason and Chloe immediately looked over, seeing Ethan and I appear together, especially with Ethan's hand still on my shoulder. Jason's eyes instantly turned red. "Great, Ashley, you really are sleeping with him." Jason pointed at me, then turned to Ethan, his face twisted with anger. "Ethan Sterling, you're really something. You even steal my woman." Chloe also showed an expression of disbelief at the right time, covering her mouth and looking at me with tears in her eyes. "Sister Ashley, how could you?" Ethan's expression didn't change at all. He just held my arm tighter. He looked at the two people downstairs. A faint, almost mocking arc appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Your woman?" Ethan's voice was not loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone. "Jason, have you forgotten that you have already broken up?" He paused, his gaze sweeping over me and himself, and then said in an extremely ambiguous tone, word by word, "Besides, we did sleep together last night." Jason was trembling with anger. "Not only that," Ethan continued to drop the bombshell calmly, his eyes falling on Chloe with a hint of imperceptible sharpness. "From now on, I will take care of Ashley. As for you," his gaze returned to Jason, "mind your own business, and this sister of yours." The words "to support and to be supported," coupled with the implication of "sleeping together," were incredibly informative and full of stimulation. The faces of the two people downstairs instantly turned pale, especially Chloe, her body visibly swayed. Paid point prompt. Ethan's strong intervention and ambiguous declaration completely intensified the conflict and pushed it to a climax. His relationship with Ashley, his true purpose, and how he will deal with Jason and Chloe have all become huge suspense points, enough to attract readers to pay to read the follow-up. Jason was completely enraged and lost all reason. He pointed at Ethan and cursed. "Ethan Sterling, you bastard. What right do you have? Everything in the Sterling family should be mine." The word bastard made Ethan's eyes instantly turn cold, and he exuded a chilling aura. But before he could speak, Jason rushed over like a madman, grabbed my wrist, and yanked me hard towards him. "Ashley, you're coming back with me. We're getting back together. I won't allow you to be with him." He was surprisingly strong, and my wrist hurt from his grip. I struggled and disgustedly shook off his hand. "Jason Sterling, let go of me. I told you, we've already broken up." "Impossible." Jason's eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like a madman. "You're just angry that I'm too good to Chloe. I'll prove it to you right now." He suddenly turned his head and looked at Chloe, who was pale and tottering beside him. Just then, Chloe suddenly clutched her chest, gasping for breath, her face instantly turning purplish blue. "Brother, my asthma is acting up," she said with difficulty, her body limply falling towards Jason. Not this trick again. Same old routine, same old timing. Every time Jason is about to make a decision that's unfavorable to her, this asthma conveniently flares up. As expected, Jason panicked and subconsciously went to support her. Enough. My phone rang. Ethan's cold voice rang out, interrupting this clumsy performance. He stepped forward, stood between Jason and me, and shielded me behind him. His gaze fell on Chloe like a knife. I didn't answer. Chloe, or should I call you Anna? Ethan's voice was calm, but with a sharp edge that seemed to see through everything. You are not Jason's biological sister. Does he know about this? Jason and Chloe froze simultaneously. Jason looked at Chloe in disbelief. Ethan, what nonsense are you talking about? Chloe, she is not a Liu family child, is she? Ethan interrupted him, his eyes still locked on Chloe. Your mother switched babies back then. You are an orphan from the orphanage. Anna, this is your real name. Chloe's face turned as pale as paper in an instant, and her body trembled violently. No, it's not like that. Brother, don't listen to his nonsense, she incoherently defended. Ethan ignored her and continued, between you two, I'm afraid it's not just a simple brother-sister relationship, right? I have some intimate photos of you from the past here. He took out his phone, as if to open something. Chloe screamed and lunged to grab the phone, but Ethan easily dodged her. The phone was slammed down, and Ethan's gaze swept over her hand covering her chest. Your asthma hasn't acted up since 5 years ago. Every so-called attack is just a means for you to gain sympathy. Jason. Ethan looked at Jason, whose expression was constantly changing. Are you going to continue to be deceived by her? All the secrets were revealed publicly by Ethan so lightly. The amount of information was too much. I was stunned for a moment. Jason's expression went from shock to suspicion to anger, and finally settled on a furious mix of being deceived and betrayed. He suddenly turned his head and stared intently at Chloe. Is what he's saying true? Jason's voice was hoarse, like the low growl of a trapped beast. You're not my sister? The asthma was faked? Chloe trembled with fear, tears streaming down her face like broken beads, desperately shaking her head. No, brother, you believe me. He's framing me. Enough. Jason suddenly erupted, raising his hand and slapping Chloe hard. Bang! The sound was loud. Chloe was beaten to the ground, covering her face, looking at Jason in disbelief. I was so blind. Jason pointed at her, trembling with anger. I heard Ashley again and again for you. You've been lying to me all along. You've been using me all along. He seemed to finally realize what he had lost for this sister. To win me back, he chose the most extreme way, to completely tear apart the false warmth between him and Chloe. Get out! Jason roared at Chloe on the ground. I never want to see you again. Chloe looked at the decisiveness and disgust in his eyes. Her last ray of hope shattered. She let out a shrill cry, got up, covered her face, and staggered away. The obstacle seemed to be cleared. Jason took a deep breath, composed himself, turned around, and looked at me with a relieved, even expectant expression on his face. Ashley. He took a step closer, trying to reach out and touch me, but I dodged him. His eyes held a hint of hurt, but he softened his voice, his tone almost pleading. Ashley, the obstacle is gone now. Chloe will never affect us again. Let's start over, okay? I know I was wrong. I will definitely treat you well from now on. Only treat you well. He thought that kicking Chloe out would solve the problem. He thought all my previous dissatisfaction was just because of Chloe. How ridiculous. How sad. I looked at him, shook my head, my tone calm but incredibly firm. Jason, it's too late. The problem has never just been Chloe. The problem is you. It's that you've never truly respected me. It's your inherent selfishness and arrogance. It's that you always value others more than me. Between us, it's not something that can be solved by just getting rid of a Chloe. I'm tired, and I don't want to play this boring game with you anymore. It's over, Jason. My words were like a dull knife, cutting into his heart again and again. The anticipation and hope on his face faded bit by bit, replaced by disbelief and despair. No, Ashley, you can't do this to me, he murmured to himself, seemingly unable to accept this outcome. Just then, Ethan's phone rang. He answered the phone, listened for a few sentences, grunted, and hung up. Then, he looked at the dispirited Jason and announced a more cruel fact in a calm tone. Oh, right. I forgot to tell you, Jason, just now, the Sterling Group Board of Directors unanimously passed a resolution to remove you from your position as president. From now on, I, Ethan Sterling, am the new head of the Sterling Group. As for you, Ethan's gaze swept over him. The shares under your name have been frozen due to previous violations. You are now penniless. Penniless. These 4 words were like the final heavy hammer, completely crushing Jason. He staggered back a few steps, his face pale and his eyes empty. He lost love, lost family, though it was fake. And now even the career and wealth he was most proud of have vanished in an instant. He stared blankly at Ethan, then at me, as if he didn't understand how things could have turned out this way. Ethan didn't look at him again, but turned to look at me, his eyes much softer. He took out an envelope from his pocket and handed it to me. "Take a look at this." I took it doubtfully and opened it. Inside were several yellowed letters and an old airline ticket stub. The letter was signed William. William? I looked up at Ethan suddenly, my heart pounding. William was my pen pal from when I studied in the United States many years ago. We met through an international exchange program, corresponded for a long time, and shared our lives and dreams with each other. His letters were humorous, wise, and gentle, giving me a lot of comfort and strength when I was alone abroad. Later, because I graduated and returned to China and was busy with work, we gradually lost contact. I always thought this was just a beautiful memory in my life. "Is that you?" My voice trembled slightly. Ethan nodded, a faint smile on his lips. 5 years ago, I finished my overseas affairs and returned to China, taking the address you gave me to find you. His eyes held a trace of nostalgia. "Then, I saw you at the entrance of the flower shop near your school. You were with a boy, laughing happily. That boy is Jason." So, he had already met me. So, he is William, that stranger who warmed me with words in my youthful years. The arrangement of fate is so wonderful. I thought at the time that you were very happy and shouldn't be disturbed. Ethan_'s voice was very soft. "So, I didn't go forward. Until recently, I discovered that you weren't happy with him." His eyes looked at me sincerely and intently. "Ashley, I don't want to miss out again." He expressed his feelings, but didn't put any pressure on me. "Of course, the choice is yours," he added. "Whatever decision you make, I will respect it." I looked at him, my heart filled with mixed feelings. Then I looked at Jason beside me, who was dejected and seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. One is someone I once loved, but who brought me endless hurt and disappointment. One is someone I once relied on in writing, who now appears in my life in an unexpected way, giving me protection and respect. The answer is already clear. A few months later, Jason came to see me once. It was downstairs in my apartment building. He was wearing cheap clothes, unshaven, and looked haggard. He lost everything from the Sterling Group, and the real estate and luxury cars under his name were frozen or sold off. He wanted to ask me to get back together, or rather, he wanted to beg me to take him in. I glanced at him through the security video, said nothing, and hung up. Some people, once you miss them, it's for a lifetime. Those who don't know how to cherish don't deserve a second chance. I heard that Chloe, or rather Anna, later worked as a waitress in a messy bar. Jason went to see her a few times, wanting to bring her out of there, but she seemed to have gotten used to that kind of life, or rather, was completely giving up on herself. Jason was powerless to change anything. He could barely support himself. As for me, I'm focused on my career as a designer. Ethan gave me a lot of support, but never interfered with my decisions. He would quietly stay by my side, prepare hot soup for me when I worked late, offer sound advice when I encountered bottlenecks, and be genuinely happy for me when I won an award. We weren't in a rush to define the relationship. Everything happened naturally, but each other's feelings were already understood without saying a word. My design work won a gold medal in an international competition. Ethan came to the award ceremony that day. Instead of sending flowers, he held a fluffy golden retriever puppy and walked up to me. The puppy tilted its head and stuck out its tongue, so cute that it melted my heart. "It's for you." Ethan handed me the puppy, a gentle smile in his eyes. "You said you liked puppies." I hugged the docile puppy, looked at the mature and steady man in front of me who remembered my drunken ramblings, and smiled. "The sun is just right, and the breeze is gentle. My own, brand new, happy life has just begun." The other end of the phone went instantly silent.